Welcome, welcome. So glad to see you guys here today. Hope that you're having a good moment wherever you are. If this is your evening or your morning or whatever it is, a happy moment to you. I'm CRay. Today is August the 5th, 2022. And this is a special meeting of Asia Pacific for going over a 7-day detox. And my intention for today is that you feel supported and have a chance to ask questions, and that you feel supported and motivated, and perhaps we might even bring a little joy into the picture. And let's see, is that Jana coming in maybe? As co-host. Excellent. Satnam. Have a fellow Texan, Austinite coming in. Satnam, so glad to see you. It's been a while. Hello, Luke. Good to see you, Luke. There's Jane and Kimberly. Hi, Beverly. So nice to see you, Mary Pat and Bobby. Nehemiah. Good to see you, my friend from New York. Murali, I believe, is the nickname. And let's see, Robin Lee, longevity coach and chocolatier of some sort or another. Is that right, Robin?
I do have a healthy chocolate that's one of my favorite nutritionals, but I don't make it.
Oh, you don't make it. Okay. I've seen that. Hello, Sharon. Welcome, Jeannie. Kimberly. Hello, Deborah Ann. Hello, my friend. So good to see you. Feels like a typical Friday night, doesn't it? Yes. So the Asia Pacific call be a 2-year anniversary in September. We're taking a little break for the summer. Doesn't feel like much of a break, but at least a little bit of a break, and then we'll gear that back up for our friends in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia Pacific places where they just can't make it on Sunday. It's just the timing is just not right for them. So that'll be good. And let's see. Did Jana come on? Thought I saw her earlier. Susie's in the house. Susie's moving this week. How exciting, Miss Susie. We're so glad you made it.
No, not only am I moving, I've actually moved out. I'm done. I'm ready. Got all my stuff at my new place.
Fantastic.
I'm there. Woo!
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands is right.
That's exciting. So glad to hear that.
Yes.
Leonore, welcome, welcome. We're so happy to see you and your smiling face.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Some very familiar faces. Hello.
Yes, indeed. That's always
Oh, yes. Good.
Okay, so there'll be some other people probably coming in. I was hoping Jana would be. How about Luke, can I make you a co-host to let people in while I do some Marma?
I can do it if
You got it,
Luke
Robin?
isn't comfortable. Yep.
Okay, we'll get Robin to do it.
You let Robin do it.
Okay. If I can find Robin there. She's disappeared. Luke, Mary Pat, now
I'm here.
I know. Why aren't you showing up on my list?
Can you
because you're
hear me if
unmuted.
I'm-
That's why. Got it. All right. I'm gonna make you a co-host, and then you can watch the door.
Okay.
Then we're gonna do a few marmas just to bring us into the present and kind of help us focus and get centered. So let's take a few deep breaths together, in through the nose and out the nose for the first one. And now in through the nose and out through the mouth.
Just so you know, I have not seen notification of being host yet or co-host yet.
It says your co-host.
Okay.
And then this one's in the mouth and out the nose. That one's a little bit trickier. So we're going to do the ear marma, which is for letting go of fear and anxiety and increasing our self-love. Once those are out of the way, it makes more room for self-love. So 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the big old head squeeze. So on this one, you put your palm on your forehead, you touch your third fingers together, and you stretch your hands out as far as they can go, and you squeeze 6 times. And this is to calm the mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then turn your neck the other way and do the same thing again. Really squeeze that scalp up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then the focus marma, which is the Dr. Giovanni style. I have psoriasis on my third eye. I think that's interesting. You can support your neck with your left hand and use your index finger, and you're going to blow your finger away. And then inhale for 1, exhale. Inhale for 2, exhale. Inhale for 3, exhale. Inhale for 4, inhale. Exhale for 5, inhale. Exhale for 6. And I think I got myself a little confused, maybe perhaps. And then that's for focus. And then above the lip, below the nostril. And this one is to be in the present. Let go of the past. That's where depression hangs out. We don't need any of that. Let go of the future where anxiety might be dwelling. Stay in the present where we have joy, peace, and happiness. So 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then one for joy. Do you know this one? Put your index finger and your thumb together like you're going to make some crazy eyes. And you do 6 of those for joy. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what I do when I'm by myself, I go joy, 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 joy. Like I have little castanets on my fingers. Da, 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 joy and more joy. Oh, yes. So much fun. So those are Marma. And for those of you who don't know, Marma is part of the ancient sciences, and they work on our subtle bodies, our subconscious mind, and can sometimes move blocks that can't otherwise be blocked. Very similar to acupressure and some of the similar points with what's the word? Acupressure. No, acupoint. No, what's the word? Oh, it just went out of my head.
Acupuncture?
Thank you. It's that kind of a day. It's that kind of a day. Acupuncture. That's it exactly. And then if anybody would like to add in the chat where you're from, that would be great. Jana, so happy to see you, Jana. Let's see. So I had posted a couple of things. We're going to talk about the 7-day detox in detail. I posted about tongue scraping and oil pulling. I'd like to call on Luke, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. And I know it's something that you've done for a while. And could you share your experience of that?
Yeah, in fact, I just got finished doing it a few minutes before the call again. And I love it because afterwards, my mouth feels so clean and healthy. So I've been doing it for quite a while. I use coconut oil, and I take a scoop with a tablespoon. I put it in my mouth, and I swish it around constantly for 5 to 10 minutes. They usually say try to do it for at least 10 minutes. And I usually do that. Swish it around, swish it around. If I've eaten, I make sure that I brushed and really rinsed my mouth out of any food particles, which is what happened because I just had mung bean soup. So I washed my mouth out really well, make sure there were no food particles. Put the coconut oil in, did the pulling. And then after the pulling, rinse the mouth out and then scrape your tongue. Now I scrape not only my tongue, Carol, but I also scrape my upper palate. That's the first thing I do in the morning when I get up. I brush my teeth and I scrape my tongue really well with a brisk toothbrush. They have these tongue scrapers. Yeah, there you go. They have these tongue. I don't have one. I used to have one, so I just use a really good toothbrush And I get my upper palate as well. Of course, there's bacteria in your upper palate that forms through the night. So that's basically what I do.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So this is a copper tongue scraper. Has a flat surface, so you would put that in your mouth like that and hold on to the ends. And then I have another variety here. Keep it for guests just in case, but so it looks like that,
Mm.
fairly long. And you can use coconut oil, sesame oil. This is Guru Nadia pulling oil from,
And
yeah. So that's another option. But the reason I bring it up is that as we go through this detox, like Luke was saying, you get a lot of bacteria in your mouth. And if you stick out your tongue and you see white coating on it, you know that you have bacteria in your mouth. So there's a lot of good health benefits. I invite you to research it and kind of check it out for yourself and see if maybe for this 7 days, that's something you could commit to with the start of your day, and try to work up from 2 or 3 minutes of swishing up to maybe 5, or if you really want to go for it, get up to 10 minutes. One important thing that I learned the hard way was when you spit out the oil, if you put it in a little Dixie cup and let it dry out and toss it with the trash, or spit it in the toilet, that's a much better idea than spitting it down the drain, because it's oil and it's got some thickness to it. If your pipes are a little sluggish, it could create a problem. So my advice to you would be to not spit that out in your sink. Does anybody else have experience with oil pulling that they'd like to share? Or tongue scraping, either of those?
not, yeah, many years experience. I use a old-fashioned silver spoon. It's literally from the 1800s. It's like a silver, not plated. It's like sheet metal that was cut into a spoon, and it is like an old-fashioned little teaspoon. And I do it regularly since years. And it was recommended to me by somebody who studied in Ahmedabad in India, Ayurveda. She had loose teeth, and that was recommended, and all her loose teeth got tight. And I can testify that it's fantastic, because not only does it take care of bacteria, and dentists have agreed with that, it nourishes actually the bone socket. It goes deep into the ligament of the whole tooth anatomy. And then I split mine into compost.
Well, that's a
I
good
have
idea.
a compost.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have that.
Yes.
Just my bucket.
Yeah. And that's the absorption into the bone is especially important as we age and have tendencies towards osteoporosis and
Oh, yes.
other things. So something
Yeah, that's my issue.
yeah, mine too. So thank you, Lenore. I appreciate your sharing that with us. Is there anybody else? You can raise your hand or just unmic yourself if you'd like to address this particular question. Does anybody have any questions about it, concerns about it?
I found that the coconut is really the best. I've experimented over the years also when I didn't have that with olive or sesame, and I don't recommend the olive oil as much. Sesame is also, as long as it's not toasted, just the plain.
Mm-hmm.
But I think coconut is really that's the cat's meow.
That's the best, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I do appreciate it. I also wanted to talk a little bit about sugar, because that is one of the hardest things, I think, when you start a detox. If that, some of you have already moved way past that, and congratulations to those of you who have. And I learned this kind of a personal experience with refined sugar many years ago in New Mexico from someone who was doing live blood cell analysis. Now, there's doctors who go poo-poo, that's just quackery or whatever, but I learned a lot from it, especially about how my body is using resources, vital resources, for fighting sugar when it should be trying to fight other kind of bacteria. So what I saw in a black field microscope in my own little blood sample was this, looks like a a cathedral in white that was crystallized, and I had T cells that were on it trying to, break it down. And she explained to me that was a refined sugar, and it was about 3 days after my mother's birthday. So I had overloaded on birthday cake probably 3 days before this appointment. And you can see my immune system working hard for it. Then behind that, I saw this little black squiggly thing going in and out of the nucleus of cells. And I asked her, what was that? And she said, that is the bacteria that causes things like urinary tract infections. And notice your immune system is so occupied with this refined sugar, it doesn't have time or the attention to address that bacteria. So that made a real impression on me as to how sugar can affect our immunity. And also, she also pointed out some things about my blood sugar and about she saw that I have asthma from this little blood sample. There's this green, spiky, ugly little thing. She said, oh yeah, you must have had asthma. So it was a fascinating process, but they have a lot of really good current research about bacteria in our gut, and that it's like a second brain, that we have an intelligence there. And these bacteria they're so clever, they have hijacked our neural network, and they convince us that we would feel so much better if we just indulged in maybe a hot fudge sundae, or for my sister, it's a cherry limeade. Whatever your comfort food is, that's what they go about screaming for, especially the first 2 or 3 days when you're off of sugar. It does die down, it does get easier, it does get better. And if that's something that you really struggle with, you can, there's a few little things you could try, like a spoon of organic maple syrup. You can add that to your water, and that will sometimes help the craving. And it's something your body knows exactly what to do with it. It uses that for energy, goes to the liver, all as well. You can also, if you have to have some kind of sweetener in your coffee, Jackery is definitely a better way to go, or coconut sugar. But getting away from refined sugar should be a goal for all of us to try to be healthier. Does anybody have any comments, questions on sugar? Jaina,
I do.
who said that?
I was going to say, one of the things that I noticed when I first started doing the mung bean soup is that all the spices together combined, it basically satiated all the 5 tastes, so that my need for sugar dropped significantly very quickly.
Awesome.
And so then I didn't have to add it to anything after that. I just, the need for the sugar just kind of went away. So do I have sugar now every once in a while? Yeah, but it just doesn't need it. And it's almost flat tasting to me now. So I just thought I'd put it out there. So
Yeah.
if you have a sugar issue, just eat more mung bean soup.
It's a cure-all. Jaina, did
Yeah.
you have a comment?
I had a question, so I'd like Sharon to have a comment. She
Oh.
has her hand up. Yeah.
My question, what about fruit?
So fruit is okay on day 4, I believe it is. We heard today from Ira Shakti, but it's pretty limited. Apples are good, organic. The GMO and hothouse fruit is not very good for us, but if you can get organic apples, that's wonderful. You can also do papaya, and of course pomegranate is the fruit of choice. Was there something else that we talked
Dates.
about? Berries a little bit that you can use, unless you're diabetic, in which case you probably need to avoid some of the sweeter things. But apples, cherries, mango, papaya, pomegranate, those are the ones that come to mind. Anybody else have?
Watermelon was on the list.
Oh yeah,
Oh, good. Oh, good.
yeah. And they probably don't have it there, but cantaloupe if you're in the South.
Yeah, wait, no, wait, I have, I'm feeling so liberated.
Yeah. So that'd be about on day 4 after you get through a couple of days of liquid only. And one thing that I learned a few years back was you should never mix citrus fruits and melons, for example, because the citrus kills the vitamins and nutrients in the melons. So you should have those things separately if you have them together. So we used to mix all of our fruits like a little fruit cocktail kind of a thing,
Yeah.
but those it's best to do like honeydew, cantaloupe, and watermelon together, and then do all your citrus stuff separately. And no bananas. Bananas are out.
Darn it.
All together, no bananas for the whole regimen?
Nope. No banana. Yes, we
Wow.
have
And
no
what is the
banana.
reason? Please.
It's
Um,
high in glycemic index, so it spikes your glycemic index. So it's
You mean
not.
sugar, the sugar index, glycemic index.
Mhm. Yeah,
I would
it's,
say that, they'd probably say that citrus is out also, because they have said
Yeah.
that all citrus is too sour.
That's right. No sour stuff or
And
orange.
acidic. I was gonna say that too. Citrus is very acidic,
Mhm.
except for lemon water. Lemon on its own is acidic, but when it hits the gut, it becomes alkaline actually. But
Yeah,
all-
it's not acidic.
Right, but all of the citrus is very acidic.
But for the purposes of Ayurveda, even the lemon, they say the sour produces more inflammation. And
yes,
they
Yeah.
have to avoid even the lemon water.
it increases the vata. Yeah, so
Yep.
it's best to, it's best to avoid it. Yeah.
I agree with that, yes.
And listening to the 28-day detox, whatever fruit or not fruit, just focusing on what you can eat and just eating what's on the list during either the 7-day or the 28-day detox is what we focus on, not what you can't eat, but what you can eat. And don't try to add stuff to it, because there's the science behind doing it is very exact. So what you can eat is the most beneficial during this period of time. Is that
And it's only
what I
for
got?
7 days. Yeah, it's only for
Right.
7 days. So there's an
Right.
end to it. It's not going
Yeah.
to be forever. You know,
Right.
7 days of being able to just have mung beans and vegetables is really not a bad thing at all. You know,
Yeah.
with maybe a little bit of fruit if your energy is a little low.
Right.
So yeah.
Nehemiah, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I have a question and I have a comment. The question is, I'm used to use quite a bit of lemon during the day to take down acidity and raise alkaline. So after I understand not to do it during the program, but after the program is over, can I come back to my lemon, or lemon is still not good ever?
Well, it depends on your dosha. And, you know, if you have a lot of acid already, it's probably not a good idea. Some people are going to use lemon anyway because they like it, and they're
But the theory that I heard is the opposite, that lemon is acidic, but when you put it in your mouth, it becomes alkaline. That's what I was told.
Yes, that's true.
And the other things that I learned about lemon, which again, not related to this diet, but I still want to mention it for other, is lemon peel, orange peel, and what do you call it? The big one.
pomegranate.
Grapefruit.
Yes,
Grapefruit.
grapefruit. When you put them in and boil them some, and you inhale them and you put them in your tea or whatever, they are very good for the immune system. So I just mentioned it, but not for this diet. The other thing, I have a comment to enjoy the melon. And it's come from the French, and I think it's harmless because the French know how to enjoy. And I remember it because I do it, and I remember with love the French. You take your melon or your cantaloupe and put on top of it just three pieces of black pepper, which is okay in a diet, yeah? Just three. Now, what does it do? It's open your taste buds, so you enjoy the sweetness even more, I think, without hurting yourself. That's all. That's all.
That's a nice treat.
Why not enjoy if it's not harmful?
So
Why not enjoy it? Exactly. Exactly.
So Carol, is coffee allowed on the 7-day detox? Because
Coffee
it's not
is
allowed on the
allowed,
28.
but it's what you put in it that gets you into trouble. So black coffee is okay, but no sugar, no refined sugar. And if you can do it black, that's the best possible thing. If you have to have some kind of creamer in there, a little bit of coconut milk is the preferred bad option.
Okay.
If you can
'Cause
do
on the
without it, it's
28
best.
day, so whoever's doing the 28 day, it's not recommended to do coffee. They say do black tea or green tea.
Yeah.
But on the 7-day, it's allowed.
Right.
Awesome.
And I do have some things in my notes for those who are trying to kick the caffeine habit. So if that's you, if you'll send me a email, I can share that with you. And I have my email is at carolkray@ancientsecretsnow.com. Okay, what is Jackery? Jackery is an amazing sweetener that looks about the consistency of brown sugar. And it has a phenomenal amount of nutritional benefits to it. And it's a sweetener, a sugar substitute, but it has minerals and such in it that are actually a little bit of a benefit. But it's like everything else, and try to keep the quantity small. And the more we can lean on the mung beans and get our systems moving that way and get the toxins out, then all the better. So you can do it. You can use that, but let's see. Do I get it at the Indian store? I think I found that in Whole Foods, even here in near Austin, Texas. But Jackery should be available. I think it's Amazon sells it, and it should be available in some other places. Mary Pat?
you happen to know, so I have a good friend of mine is from China. And so she has what she calls Chinese sugar. And it looks very much like jaggery. And do you happen to know if they are the same or, yeah, and I don't have any other name than Chinese sugar.
Yeah. Does anybody else know? I do not know.
It looks, it looks just like it. So.
Yeah. I haven't had great success cooking with Jackery, but if you need something on your oatmeal or in your coffee, it's not terrible. Okay. Jeremy, do you have a question?
Sure. So glad you asked. I was just looking at the 7-day
Small
whatever
book.
it is, detox, and there's optional things like the detox tea. So the detox tea says you take a liter of water and add 1 teaspoon of cumin, coriander, and fennel. Is that 1 teaspoon each?
Yes, it is. It's 1 teaspoon each.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would go into 1 liter. So obviously, if you drink more than 1 liter, you would repeat that process, right?
That's exactly right. Yes. So we the other option is ginger water, but
I
ginger
saw
water
that.
is very warming, and I don't know about where you are right now. I think it was 105 today where I am. So the
My
cooling
sympathies.
spices are a little more preferred than the warming spices,
Yeah, good. Okay, no, I saw the ginger water. That seems straightforward. Just add 2 teaspoons of dry ginger to the liter.
Yeah, you can also use fresh ginger too. Those are both options are good.
Okay, good. Well, the detox seems fairly straightforward then, unless I'm missing something.
So I did want to make a correction on the smoothie recipe because
Oh.
the water was left off. So it's a handful of coriander, a handful of mint, and there should be 8 to 10 ounces of water in that. So sorry about that. We'll get that corrected, but yeah, you get about 3 drops of juice from a handful.
Well,
greens.
Yeah, it says blend well and add salt and pepper, but you're right, you forgot the water.
Yeah, the water should be in there, so.
Okay,
Where is all of this? I got one email from you. Is this on the website, the whole protocol, what you're talking about? the
Yes, I did
recommend-
post the PDF on the WhatsApp, and I thought I emailed everybody. We had 122 people sign up, and I thought I had hit everybody, but Leonora, I can
I got the
send one out.
announcement for the event with the email, so I have to go to WhatsApp to catch up.
I don't know where else it is, but I saw it on WhatsApp just a day or so ago, not very long ago.
Okay.
I reposted it, I think a version 4 that had water in the smoothie.
I know on mine, it was a separate, you sent the information
Yes,
email
and
and
then
then
you
you,
get the
and then you
attachment.
sent the oops one that,
Yes.
you'd forgotten the attachment. So it was an attachment that has the 12 pages.
That's
Okay.
it, yeah. That happened.
Just for your information, Carol,
Yes, ma'am.
I try not to use WhatsApp that
Okay.
much for privacy reasons.
Right,
Thank you.
you're
Carol,
welcome.
I have a question, Carol. So
Okay,
in the latest version that you sent out, it says day 1 is the ginger juice, okay? But now it sounds like we can have the detox tea instead of the ginger juice. Is that correct?
one or the other. Yeah, you can do ginger. You can
Okay.
mix it up even if you wanted to. You could have ginger in the morning and CCF in the afternoon.
Okay, good. That's good. I wanted to also mention something else, and you may be mentioning this, I'm not sure, but as you know, when you do any kind of a cleanse, elimination, daily elimination is so important. So something that I do, which creates very healthy elimination for me, is a good deal of magnesium every day.
That's true.
Magnesium, yes, I take at least 600 milligrams of magnesium a day. Also, if you have a problem with elimination
You
and you want to make sure you're doing it every day, there's a great magnesium product called Calm Magnesium, which you can get at any health food store. It's a very popular product. You take a big helping tablespoonful of that in the morning, and you should be having some very nice elimination. And during a cleanse, that's so incredibly important to release toxins.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, the magnesium is kind of a natural laxative for most people. 500 might be plenty for some, 600 for depending on your size and what else you have going on. Right. I saw a good comment from Deborah that our Shakti recommends Ama Indian gooseberry juice rather than lemon. So thank you for that. Excellent. Nehemiah, you had another comment?
Yeah, this is something, something happened to my screen, just a moment. This is something that I'm trying to find the right way to insert it, and I'll teach you so you can teach people in privacy. And it's come from a person we met recently who does a lot of Ayurveda, the health coach, yeah? And there's a protocol which I can't mention here, but people can call you privately and you can tell them how to sit in the toilet without any problem. Okay, but there's something you have to do. It's not appropriate to share with the group, but if people want to ask you, I'll share it with you after the class. It's very simple, and he taught me, and he teach everybody, and it's working. It's working for, and let's put it this way. He put it very strongly that everybody that go to the toilet on once a day, it's a mild constipation, and that's most of humanity, at least these days. So basically, we think we are not constipated, but really one should go at least twice or 3 times. So myself included, and now I don't have this problem anymore. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, but
Well,
I don't want to share with you the protocol because that's not the protocol.
Well,
Okay.
I know that, in Ayurveda, if you're having troubles with elimination, it's because your vata is too high. And there are certain foods that help support bringing your vata down. So, I think it's perfect. I mean, I take magnesium as well, and I do the bathroom, protocol as well, or something similar that I'm thinking. I don't know. I haven't had a conversation with you, Namaya, but when we look at what is actually going on in our body, and if I'm having, a tough time eliminating, then I have my vata is too high. I'm eating too many dry foods. I'm not eating enough warm and soupy foods. There are some things to bring balance, and that's what I love about the Art of Veda way. So, I love this document that Carol created. It is so valuable because it explains the reason why we're doing this. Yes, we have a lot of diet information come from so many different ways. And when you approach these 7 days, what is your goal? What is it that you want? Coming back to the pointer, what is it that you want for this detox? And I really hope that it's an experiment, that the experiment is that you will stay close to the protocol and be able to see how your body responds, and to see if there's some positive and there's negative. Now, in the 28 days, we really recommend people to be connected to their Vata, because a lot of times there's health challenges that come up that need to be addressed. And so in this situation, Carol's got this a little bit more liberal as a dipping your toe in, which I think is great.
Yeah, we're trying to make it not so rigid. We had a question from Robin about nutritional benefit of adding spices before or after pressure cooking. So the main thing is that the spices get sauteed in ghee or coconut oil if you're vegan, before you add the other ingredients. So getting the spices time to really absorb that oil into, if you're using mustard seeds, or that they have time to expand. So that heating in the oil for spices is really an important part of the process. So you can add the cooked mung beans to the ghee with the spices, and then add your vegetables, and then add your water. That should work pretty well. There's, you can cook the mung beans with a little bay leaf or something if you want to, but the main thing is that the spices, the aromatic spices, be sauteed in ghee prior to adding the other things to those, like water or beans. Does that make sense? Does that help, Robin? Okay, let's see what else that triggered something. If you're doing mung beans and you're soaking them the night before, putting in a pinch of baking soda helps with the gassiness that some people experience with mung. And I don't think it's in the recipe now, but some people have talked about that in the past. So they need to be rinsed and soaked overnight. Or you can bypass that and use the instant pot if you want to, but they really do seem to, optimize their taste when you let them soak overnight, I think. But yeah, the gassiness thing can be reduced somewhat with a little pinch of plain old baking soda. Jana.
So there are times where I soak the beans, I go to sleep, and I go, crap, I forgot to put in the baking soda. And so what I do is I cook it for 5 minutes after I've rinsed them really well. And then I take them off the heat and I rinse them really well again. And then I put them back on the stove, or I put it in the pressure cooker and cook them that way. After I've had I can saute the spices in the Instapot, and then add the half cooked, 5 minutes cooked beans in there, and then it takes away the gases. Also, if you do put the baking soda in, just be aware that it speeds up the cooking time, because there's times where I've done that and put it in the Instapot and it comes out really mushy. So, it is important that the beans, if you're using the green beans, the green mung beans, that they do split, they do open up. We want them to do that. because it's easier on the digestion. But those are a couple of tips that I've used.
Thank you, Miss Jana. So if you're in the group that like me and you have digestive issues, I have all kinds of diverticulitis and such. My family has a long history of bad digestive problems. My mom had a colostomy by 46. My grandmother had a colostomy. So we have very sensitive digestion. So for me, mung beans were a no-go. Too much, it just caused terrible abdominal issues. But kitchery works pretty well for me and for my son. And some important things about that is you can do the kitchery with quinoa, or you can use the split mung dal in either green or yellow. It's important to rinse it. And if you use basmati rice after day 4, it's really important to rinse the rice as well. So that's something that some of you may not have done that makes a really good practice. Deborah Ann, you had a question? Comment?
I have a comment and a question. One was for Nehemiah, is after this recording is done, if he would stay on and talk with me about what he was going to share, but not with the group, that would be lovely. That's the question. I don't know if that would work. The comment is, I have also used baking soda, and the other way I've used is using Jaggery instead of the baking soda. And the Jaggery for me works better at degassing the beans. But even better is I've gone along because of some digestive issues myself. I've cooked the mung dal the same way I cook the mung beans, and that works really nice without the rice or the quinoa, because that's just too much for me. And that worked out very nicely. But I like soupy things. So when I cook it that way, it gets really, my daughter likens it to congee, which is where it just kind of gelatinous and it's, anyway, I wanted to share those 2 tips.
That's excellent. That's a great tip. I appreciate that, Deborah Ann. There was a comment about the 28 days that call was earlier today with our Shakti. There is a recording of it that's been posted on WhatsApp that you can pick up. So you're welcome to pop off, and wishing you all of the best of luck for that. A lot of the information is the same, but there are some differences as well. So we don't want to confuse you with that. The primary difference is you have some detox supplements and herbs that you'll be taking throughout the 28 days. And this is all with home remedies. So thanks for the question, Jane.
Hi,
Okay.
Carol, Jane, it's Jeremy here again. I just wanted to tell you that I'm looking at the 7-day more as a practice run, and maybe to get the sense of it before I do the 28-day. And I know that the 28-day, besides being longer, has other herbs and things. But if I was using it the way I want to, what do you think, besides the logistical challenge, could I learn from this 7-day? Or do you have any comments on what to focus on that might help me with the 28-day? Because I'm a little intimidated by it, although I don't fear it. It's just logistically and intensity and all those things.
Right.
Besides, we have coffee, which always causes a headache for a day or two till you go through that withdrawal. So that was what I was going to bring up. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah. So I would say that the benefits, the first time I ever did a 7-day detox, I lost 8 pounds and it never came back. And it was just sludge. And, there's times when we just need to give our body a little rest and a break. And it's also so good for your immune system and to get the toxicity out. And that's, some Dr. Stevens says, it's not as much about the mung beans as about what you're not eating. So we're not eating things that are full of preservatives, and we're not eating things that have been canned or processed. So this is an opportunity to get, with kind of the fresh approach where you're cooking for yourself every day. You're not grabbing fast food on the way home or pulling something out of the freezer. So I think those are kind of the important things to, it's a part of self-love. It's a part of self-healing, that we're really giving our immune system and our systems a break from the routine so that we can be healthier and happier and just more terrific.
So for me, it's the digestion. I have horrible digestion. I've over the years, just haven't digested very well. So it is, like Carol said, it's not what it's what you're not eating, so that you can give your body the space to be able to create that digestive, health, to be able to allow the body to, go move more into a natural way of digesting, rather than having to have support. So that's what it is for me.
Thank you, Jana. Does that help?
Thank you
Jeremy?
both.
Say again?
I said, thank you both.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the question. It was a good one. Nancy, you had a
Nancy.
comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two questions. I watched Dr. Clint's video. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. About making the soup in the hot pot, and I was looking at it going, oh, this is great. Yeah, sure, of course. I'd like to be able to make it in under 10 minutes instead of in 40 minutes. And then I could make like a fresh single batch every day or so or whatever. But I never had a hot pot, so I have to go buy a hot pot. And I wasn't aware. I thought we've had a crock pot. So I thought maybe they were like that they were a slow cooker. I didn't realize they could be a pressure cooker. So do you know, are all hot pots also pressure cookers? Or is there some particular brand of hot pot you have to buy that is also a pressure cooker?
So the Instant Pot is a very popular pressure cooker. They're quite a bit different than the one my mom had that used to kind of explode in the kitchen and blow beans, to the ceiling. The new ones are safer because they have the valve. It's not something that you have to buy or need, and I use a Dutch oven for mine, and that works just fine. In fact, I have an Instant Pot, but I don't use it for my mung beans because I like the process of stirring it and smelling it and tasting it as it goes instead of just walking away. It's nice if you're in a hurry, but I kind of like the slow and steady. And Jana, it sounds like you agree with me.
So you make it in the 40-minute process approximately, which is like 20 minutes cooking the beans and
Well,
then 20 minutes cooking the spices.
To me,
together.
I don't cook it for 40 minutes. Especially if I have put in a little bit of baking soda in the soaking of it, the beans cook rather quickly. So I usually cook the soup without the vegetables, and then I add the vegetables in as I go. I add them in later. But I'll put the beans on the stove. I cook them for 5 minutes. I take them off. I rinse them really, really well. I put them back on. If there's a lot of foam, I will take them back off and re-rinse them because I just don't like the gas. It will make the soup a little bit more thin because sometimes that foam makes it a little bit, thickens it up a little bit. But the beans cook really quick. They split really quickly. So by the time I put the ghee in a separate pan and saute the spices, and then I put those spices in with the soup, it only cooks for like another 5 minutes and it's done. So I'm like 20 minutes, maybe 30, but it's usually 20, especially if I use the baking soda.
Oh, is that what that foam is? Because I did these experiments. First, I made a single batch, then I made a double batch, then I made a triple batch, then I made a quadruple batch to see how it went. And sometimes I had no foam, and sometimes I had a ton of foam. So I just took a skimmer and tried to just skim the foam off because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I thought that you were supposed to eat the foam, and I was very uncomfortable that day. Don't eat the foam. The foam is the gas. So take off as much foam as you can. Yeah, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I figured just generally from my experience baking and cooking that anything else that comes up with foam, you skim it off.
Yeah.
So if people don't mind waiting, I do have a second question, but
Yeah.
it's specific but rhetorical. So if nobody has the answer, that's fine too. Well, what I really appreciated about this whole program is, what the book is like $25, and then the consultation with the Vodya was like supposed to be 30, but it was only 20, and then, I appreciate that they make it affordable for everybody, and Dr. Clint gives away so many YouTube videos and everything for free. So I'm not complaining. Please don't interpret this as complaining. But I was surprised. Oh, well, I was really impressed with how do you say that? Vaidya guy?
I always say the doctor, but everybody else
Yeah.
says Vidya.
How he could tell everything by looking at my tongue and nails, I have no idea. But he was like totally 100% right on. So I'm sure the herbs they recommend would be good. And he said I have ama, or toxins, or undigested matter. So I was kind of surprised when I got the email from them. They want me to buy 6 herbs,
No. Mhm.
preferably for 6 months, which I will never do that. If I'm trying something for
Yay.
time, I'm only going to buy one. But one of them, they want me to get this healing thymine detox for $224 for one. This is just so far past, my budget or anything I'm willing to spend. So I'm just going to get 3 of the ones that are more reasonably priced. But I guess
Nancy, this is such a great question.
I already know what I'm going to do, so I guess it's not a question. But please,
No,
I'm done now. Please comment.
This is something that comes up every single time I talk with a new person, especially when they go to Ayashakti. Ayashakti, they have a wonderful deal where if you buy a certain amount of herbs, they will give you a discount, and they want to be able to pass that discount on. But I just buy my herbs 1 month at a time. Now, if you look at what amount of money do you spend on food? And when you look at, if you are going to do the detox, you take the amount of the detox, which is kind of like a medicine in a way, and you divide that $300 into 28 days. It's less than $10 a day. It's less than eating out. And the mung beans are so inexpensive. So to me, it's just an alternative way of eating, because I really look at the herbs as food and not as a pricey thing. I was so skeptical. I was so afraid to take those herbs. Matter of fact, Dr. Renauk, I'm so sorry. I kept saying, I'm afraid, because I have done so many detoxes and I have had adverse reactions to them. And I was terrified. So what we decided was that I would just take the detox herbs without any of the detox regimen through my first go around, which was really amazing, because then I really, really saw how it nourished my body. And then the second time I was able to do the regimen. And then the third time I did the regimen. The fourth time was a little bit difficult for me, because I probably wasn't eating very much, and I really needed the help of my Vidya, Anyway, so Nancy, it's such a great question. You do not need to spend, buy 6 months of herbs at a time. You don't. The majority of the people I talk with, I just, I recommend, just buy 1 month and see how you feel. If you like them and you're going to be taking them for 6 months, great. Buy 3 or 4 or 6 months worth. That's my recommendation.
Right. Well, it just kind of made me laugh, because I'm already taking zinc, D, and C to fend off COVID. And I'm already taking things that my acupuncturist and my chiropractor recommended. And he's already given me digestive enzymes that have helped my digestive problems somewhat. So I just laugh because I line up my bottles every morning. So morning and afternoon, I'm already taking, like 8 or 10 different things. And I really only want to add maybe one more at a time just to make sure that it goes okay. So I think that's
And
what.
you
So-
need to do what you feel good doing. You know, there's no, if you buy the herbs and you're upset about getting the herbs, they'll sit in a drawer and you won't use them. And that's not what iShakti is all about. They want to be able to support you wherever you are and however you want to be able to, because you initially are in control of your own health, not the Vaidyas, you know, not the doctors, you are. And so if you feel good about what you're doing, we support you 100%.
Good point, right? And the thing is, like I said to him, I didn't even list my digestive or health problems as being the first thing that I wanted to change because I've achieved some kind of an equilibrium, not really through Western medicine, but through supplements that I already take, and I don't want to knock that out of balance. So
Excellent. Thank you
thanks.
for those comments, Nancy. I really appreciate it. I'm going to move on, and I think Luke, you were the next one who had your hand up.
I first of all have a practical question. When are we starting the 7-day detox? Is it
Yeah.
tomorrow? Is it Sunday? Is it Monday?
Yes.
Any of those days? I mean,
Any of
because
those days.
here's what
Any
I
of
was
those
going.
days.
I was going to start on Monday because, you know, it's the weekend, and I, you know, sometimes like to go out to dinner with a friend or something like that. Also, I really don't need to lose any weight at all. In fact,
Right.
probably will lose weight. I'll probably be too thin after this because I've been on cleanses and fasts before, and I lose weight so fast. I have a really good metabolism, and I don't have digestive issues. So the reason I ask is when, so I could load up, gain some weight first before I do this. You know what I mean?
I do.
So can I start on Monday? Is that okay?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. You can start
Okay.
on Monday. You can start tomorrow. You can start Sunday, whatever works best for you. We're just going to have one more meeting next Friday just to see how it went, suggestions for improvement, those kind of questions will be next Friday. But this is up to you. And please, you know, feel free to post questions, issues, problems, you know, that come up on the WhatsApp if you're not Leonora who doesn't like WhatsApp. But if you have questions and things you want to put there, then I'll do my best to try to get answers to that pretty expediently. Another option that, you know, I'll just throw it out there. If you wanted to wait till the fall equinox, that is September the 23rd this year, you could do that and do your 7 days in conjunction with the start of fall. And then you could do it again for the winter equinox. Solstice on December the 21st. So
Well, I'm going
those
to do
are
it. I'm going to do it this week for sure.
okay.
So because we're doing it as a group, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And to have that experience, and then I'm sure I'll do it again, maybe sometime in the fall.
Yeah. So make it right for you. It's 7 days. You can start it whenever is most convenient for you.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Nehemiah, you had a question.
A question and something just to say specific for what my learning. I've been doing this kind of awareness eating for many years. And most of the stuff that you say not to eat, I don't eat. But there are a few other things that still it will be still fasting for me. Since you said Monday, I'm very happy about Monday because I still have to get some stuff that I didn't manage to get. So that will be number one. Number two, I set goals to see how it works because things have been working for me. Like if you met me 2 or 3 years ago when I had a virus before COVID, and it came out, all of this came for me and for most people, in my understanding, not so much for the food they eat, which is part of it, but mostly because of stress, at least for me. Stress caused a virus to come in and inflammation and whatever, and to create 2 hernias and whatever it was. So when I changed from a person that couldn't perform in life, I wear now a hernia belt, but I'm functioning fully, you know. And so now what I'm looking at, so I set the goal because I have 3 conditions which I won't bother people with them that are still there, moving slowly. I want to see if doing it will speed up the healing. It's very simple. If my healing speeded up, This is working, period. Let's go for the next stage. And the other reason is because I want to introduce other people and they didn't come. And I'm very happy they didn't come. You know why? Like, you know, 2 women that I mentioned. Because I don't have the experience of it. It's not my time to introduce other people. Next time I can talk, I've been walking the talk, and then it's the time for me to introduce. I introduce people to meditation for so many years because I've been practicing for so many years. So that's just my personal comments for probably the last one.
Yep, that sounds exactly right. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you. Okay. Any other?
Anne had her
Go ahead,
hand
Lenore.
up earlier. Did you want to say something, Deborah?
Thank you. I was just going to share about making the mung beans in the Instant Pot. I kind of have found a middle way where I cook just the mung beans with ghee in the Instant Pot. And then when I'm ready to eat it, I do the spices on the stove and put, because the beans are in the refrigerator for probably lunch and dinner, because I would make my breakfast. And then I just do them fresh. And that way you get all the aroma of the spices and watch the beans cook on the stove. I just thought I'd share that as another possibility for making. But thank you for asking, Leonora.
Yeah, good thing.
Lenore. Thank you, Deborah Ann. Robin, you have your hand up?
Yes, I wanted to just explain from my understanding what the if the Vidias for Nancy, I remember she mentioned, I believe that she had AMA, the toxins, and in the Ayurvedic understanding, if you have AMA, it's largely because you're not digesting, and that's such a foundational part. If your digestion is right, you're not getting the nutrition to make all of your tissues in the right order that your body makes them. And so from the Siddhaveda Ayurvedic perspective, if they are suggesting that, you could wind up doing it like with dietary home remedies and stuff, but that foundational, getting the digestion right so that you're not continuing to produce AMA, but you're starting to absorb and create the nutrition that your body and your tissues need, is one of the things that the Vidyas are always after for us. And it doesn't necessarily look the same as Western ideas of, eating probiotics and stuff. So you kind of need to make your own choices on how you're deciding to do that. But from an Ayurvedic perspective, the digestion is like number one, so you don't keep producing toxins.
Thank you, Robin. Mary Pat?
It was my experience last time, and I've continued it ever since. I also want to not be healthy for me to lose any weight. So I just always put in sweet potatoes. That's what my body said. So I eat lots of sweet potatoes, which I like.
That's an excellent suggestion, and they add so much flavor and potassium and so many good things. So yes, for sure. If your weight is on the lower side, add those sweet potatoes and squashes and so many other delicious things. Avocados are a great source of oil and protein. And so that's a great comment, Mary Pat. Thanks for making that. Miss Lenore?
Yeah, I am sitting really on the fence about doing the whole program. But I have not read yet the list of the recommended foods. And I'm sitting on the fence because I have paid very close attention for years now to the holistic and Ayurvedic principles. I mentioned that, I think, Sunday in the call to the Vaidya. And I tuned into this since Sunday. on how I feel and observed what I'm consuming. I am eating the mung bean dal or soup regularly. I make it maybe once or twice a week. So I have maybe a couple of days pause and then I make a big batch in an cast iron. But when it wasn't as hot as it is now here in Massachusetts, always in the 90s, before I already felt that the consumption of the ghee was compromising my liver. And I felt that my liver was, the ducts maybe were blocked, is what somebody said. But I really noticed the difference. So with the heat, the summer heat, I wonder whether I could do the detox with the drinks and these combinations of the herbs, coriander and cumin, and do it with the liquids. Because here in Massachusetts, I'm kind of tooting the horn for us New Englanders here, and I'm not a native here. We eat really what the farms produce when it's coming from the farms to us, sometimes truckloads for free. And hearing people talk about papaya and tropical fruits, if I would talk to my fellow countrymen here about this and wanted to entice them for this program, they would all walk out. I'm having an exhibit now at the Estate Discovery Center. It's called Make Food, Let Food Be Your Medicine, quoting Hippocrates. And these are my nature prints, and I will introduce the mung bean dal in a restaurant here for an evening where we will look at the book, Ancient Secrets. And I'm getting already feedback at the farmer's market. Well, do the mung beans grow here? No, they don't. Well, this is a big footprint for my 30 little mung bean saplings. One made it. So I am talking and sweet talking to it that it hangs out and maybe produces a few beans. But that's a real issue that all of the people in my neighborhood in the Happy Valley here in Western Mass are very sensitive to. What is the footprint? We want to eat local, local, local. It's on every storefront and organic. And we have lots of organic farms around. So I would rather eat cucumbers instead of papaya and not replace what I get free.
Wonderful. It's
And
so great, Lenore.
yeah,
So great. You know, what I hear you saying, you know, is very, very important, you know, because I do believe that your environment makes a huge difference with the way that your body digests and ingests foods. What I am aware of is that I think it's really important to be able to talk with, you know, even, you know, Dr. Stephen, who is, you know, a chiropractor, even though he's done Ayurveda, because it's not just it's not about the mung beans. It really isn't, you know, and I know that there are Ann Wilkinson, who lives in Pennsylvania, just made a video that she grew mung beans in her little house. She has a garden. It's just mung beans have not been something that have been popular here. And it's not that, you know, I don't know whether we can grow it. I don't know what the climates are, but it's not about the mung beans. It's about what we're not putting in our bodies. Now, when we put in raw food, it affects our bodies. You put in raw food?
I make my own vegetable juice. I have a no-wok juicer. And I make raw vegetable juice. I grow wheatgrass.
See, so it just, Ayurveda is an option. You know, this isn't the only end all be all way. You know, even Dr. Clint in his TED Talk, he said, this is an option. You may not choose it, but at least you know you have a choice. So if this does not fit for you, we do not argue with you. You can be in the community. We support you 150%.
So my question, Jana, is can I do just the liquids? I really feel like I can benefit instead of drinking just other teas. I don't have a problem with coffees, but I think the beverages with those special herbs and seeds, I think they may in itself be have a lot of benefits. My digestion is fabulous, and so I want the liquids to hydrate with optimal liquids. Maybe I'm going to look into that.
I think it's wonderful. Now, for me, I usually don't have a problem with fasting. I've been fasting, doing the juice fasts all of my life.
Mhm.
And the last time I did the detox, I had a problem. I couldn't do it. I got dizzy. And I really needed the help from the Vidia. My body needed something different. And that's what I love about Ayurveda. It's not about a procedure. It's not about a specific food. It's about what your body needs
Mhm.
in that cycle. And that's what I love about this. So, if all I can say is you need to follow what you want to do. You can take this information and adapt it to the way you want to. We are
Okay.
not responsible. We have the health, disclaimer, medical disclaimer. We're not responsible. You guys are responsible for your own health. For me, I have tried everything. I have been on so many diets. I have been on 3 different diets with 3 different doctors. I have read every diet book, and I have tried so many different things, but I don't have the situations that you have, Lenore.
Mhm.
So
What's wrong with you, Poppy? Huh? What the hell do you want? Huh? Do you want a little affection?
uh-oh. I have no idea. Is there a dog in our Zoom call?
I'm just not sure.
I'm just going to remove the spotlights.
Okie doke. So great comments. And Jenny, you're so right. And I'll remind you of our master Jivika, who says medicine for one can be poison for another. I am encouraged with some of the new progress in mung beans. University of Tennessee is looking at it as an agricultural crop and a substitute for corn. And they're using the beans for people and the stalks and leaves for livestock. And because of the great nutrition, there's a great deal of interest in that. So I think we're just learning. It's early. You could be an early adopter and help promote that in your area. So I'm going to switch right quick and share my screen with you and see if you can see this. I will make this as big as I can. And let me know if, whoa, that might be too big. Can you see my screen? Jana, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, but it's too big.
Okay, let's make it a little smaller. How's that?
CCFT.
Yes. So this is the detailed diet, and it starts with this day 1, select your tea. So you can, this is the CCFT with the water, and I buy mine pre-mixed together, but you can certainly take your 3, 2 tablespoons, combine the 3 together, boil for 10 minutes on the stove and put it in a thermos. And here's the benefits of cumin, coriander, and fennel. If you're high vata and you're freezing all the time, you want ginger water. There's a recipe for that. Step 2 is 2 days of mung soup with no vegetables, no rice, just the plain liquid mung. And you can, again, you can use the green gram and my friend always corrects me. He says, it's not mung, it's mung, but it's what I'm talking about. And then step 3 days is 4 days of mung soup with vegetables. And we've got pumpkin, zucchini, squashes, asparagus, carrots, all of those different things. I've got a full list below, and make, the vegetable soup. And then step 4 is returning to a diet of 60% vegetables, 30% lean protein, 10% carbs. So I put information about the varieties of mung, and then this is a bunch of vegetables. If you share your mung with your dog, please do not put in onion and garlic. Those are bad for pups, but otherwise dogs love mung beans. You can put the beetroot, celery, chicory, leeks, and chicory is a great source of inulin, which is also added to some coffees. So the smoothies, here's the mint coriander juice with fresh mint and coriander leaves. Take the juice out, add 10 ounces glass of water, and then salt and pepper to taste. Smoothie 2 is an apple with half a beetroot root and carrots. And those are the ones that are provided for you. And then after 7 day, here's a black pepper powder with ghee to take in the morning on an empty stomach. And then also ajwain or CRay with jaggery and cow's ghee to take before bed. And then these are pretty much basics from Ayurveda. Only eat when you're hungry, eat slowly, chew your food well. Don't eat large meals, especially after dark. If you overeat, don't overeat, just enough to feel full. You can take a short walk or lie on your side for 10 minutes. Don't drink water, particularly ice water, with your meal. Leave a gap. Avoid sour and fermented foods, and avoid soft drinks, flavored water, vitamin drinks, including sugar-free. And if you don't know, honey should never be exposed to high heat. It becomes toxic, but you can use honey for the maintenance part. And then the rest of it is about why the diet works. And down at the very bottom, I included a form if you want to print this out and answer the questions about your doshas. The dosha means the balance. This is to see what you're high in, what's low, and gives you a little information about that. And then you can use this to help determine what your diet, which diet you could look to help balance your doshas. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that in case you haven't seen it. It's out there. If you don't have it, send me an email and I'll send it to you, or you can hit me up on WhatsApp. I'll be happy to send it out.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I put the link to the mung bean challenge, and those in the 28-day, I will be adding you as well. I just haven't had a chance to do that.
Thank you, Jana. Anything else from anybody else?
That's
Those
my
were-
hand being raised, non-technical.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, sorry about that. That was me talking to Poppy, which is a cat. I didn't realize I wasn't on mute.
No
My
problem. I talk to
apologies.
Buster all the time, so no problem.
I did have a question though.
Okay.
Pumpkin in the vegetables. I always wondered, is pumpkin a pumpkin, or is pumpkin include all the squashes and everything? That's part of the question.
Well,
In Ayurveda, they like all the squashes.
So the answer is pumpkin includes squashes, maybe?
yeah, pumpkin and squashes. And actually, from a nutritional viewpoint, the most beneficial part of the pumpkin is the seeds. The seeds have incredible nutrition in them. And the white pumpkin juice is something that's really highly recommended in Ayurveda. And I just happen to know that in the US, one of the best brands of pumpkin, particularly if you want to grow your own, Lenore, is the cotton candy white pumpkin.
Okay, so I'm in Canada, I've never seen a white pumpkin. It sounds a bit like the elusive white bear in the Arctic. So what is a white pumpkin? Help me. It's
just one of the many species and varieties that has a good nutritional count to it. But any pumpkin is good. You can, like I said, take the seeds and roast them. That's the most nutritious part. But you can also check the varieties. There are some species of pumpkins that are only for decor. There's others that are either decor or you can consume. So make sure your species of pumpkin that you know what they are.
Okay, so don't eat any ornamental pumpkins?
That's it.
Okay. All right.
Pumpkin-
Probably
if-
worse things you could have, but yeah.
If you-
Go ahead.
If you take the dosha test, you can tell whether you are pitta. If you have high pitta, then pumpkins are very good for high pitta. Like right
Okay.
now I have high pitta. I've had a little bit too much garlic because I love it. I have too much garlic and ginger, and I have a canker on my tongue, which I know when I get canker or skin issues, I even have something on my eyebrow. Whenever I get something with the skin, my pitta is too high. And so the pumpkins are very good to be able to bring down the pitta.
Okay, so that was my second question. Thank you for mentioning it. Is the dosha questionnaire that you showed at the bottom of that page. I've always been confused. Do you take the dosha test about your current, this day, this age, this this decade, or do you answer it for when you were young and sort of untarnished or unblemished?
That's a really good question, Jeremy. The idea of this is a snapshot for today. And
Today,
it
okay.
tries to help you see where you are and what your balance is. So, I mean, there's a few people that are going to come out tri-dosha. They're just pretty evenly keeled. But most of us, the most common is high vata. And then, pitta to follow, and then kapha. And something that was pointed out by a psychiatrist from Harvard faculty that I thought was really interesting in Ayurveda is how you respond to stress and depression by the dosha. So if you're somebody who has a lot of anxiety and fear, that's typical of vata. If what you have is anger, control issues, you're intimidating, you're the person pounding their fist on the table, that's high pitta, and that agitation, irritation, and all the way to full-blown rage is a quality of a stressed out pitta. Then the kapha person, who is usually so easygoing, so accommodating, when they get stressed, they withdraw. They go into the man cave or the she shed, and they kind of shut the world out. So those are some other little clues that you might be high in one or another. And as Jana was saying, skin issues kind of make this a red flag for pitta. And if you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, those are pretty telltale signs of kapha. So inflammation, that points to vata. If you have arthritis, inflammation, those kind of things, those are usually in high vata. But it's also fun to ask your significant other, your beloved, your spouse, your sibling, your friend to fill it out for you and compare your answers just for fun. Luke, you
Carol,
had a
thanks so
question?
much for that quick overview, especially the psychiatric one. I know I have high stress, and a lot of people do in this day and age. And I know sometimes it makes me angry. So I guess I'm a vata pitta from the psychiatric perspective.
Yep.
But anyway, thanks for that overview.
You're welcome. Luke?
Yeah, when Jana was talking about when her skin breaks out, that really, that's just like wow for me, because I've had skin issues literally my entire life. And sometimes it's been worse, sometimes it's bad. I went through years of it being bad. I also, my anger and rage is practically not there anymore, but I came into this world that way. So I've been high pitta my whole life. But things have calmed down a lot. But just this past week, I broke out in some skin rashes that I have not had in such a long time. So that showed me, okay, for some reason my pitta is raising, but also I'm working on a thyroid issue, and thyroid affects the skin. So it's like everything is intertwined. And I'm very conscious of what I'm eating. I fortunately don't eat sugar. I'm taking Ayurvedic herbs. I'm doing lots of marmas. But my question in the moment is, I could look this up, but since we're here, what are some good recommendations for bringing down pitta really fast in terms of things to eat? I know what I shouldn't eat, and I'm staying away from things I shouldn't eat. But what about ways to bring down pitta quickly?
So the main thing is stay away from the nightshades.
I do, yes. I never eat nightshades. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is the most important one for pitta, is to stay away from the hot and spicy fermentation. That one's really bad for pitta.
I think what brings up pitta for me is stress and anxiety. I think that's what does it. Okay. So I do breathing, I do meditation. It's always this balance for me, because I think food-wise, I think I'm doing really well food-wise. So I'm not sure if I'm eating anything that would raise my pitta. I really think it's more emotional.
Emotional
honestly.
side. Yeah. Yeah, it could be 100% emotional driven.
But are there foods you can eat? Like you mentioned, like eating avocados every day. That's another good thing.
Yeah, for Vata Pitta, it's cooked vegetables, squashes, pumpkin, mung, lentil, leafy green vegetables, cooked, of course, not raw.
Yeah, I'm
And
doing
then
everything.
avoiding nightshades, that's the most important ones.
I'm doing all of that. So, okay, so it's not my food, it's my emotions, which is what I thought. Okay, thank
Well,
you.
how about watermelon? That's really helpful because that acts like a natural air conditioner in the body.
You know, it's so interesting that you say watermelon. I just went to Trader Joe's to do some shopping, and they had this huge box outside of watermelons, and I didn't get one. I love watermelon because I wasn't sure if it was okay. I thought it's pretty high in sugar, and I wasn't sure if it was okay for what we're doing, but I'll go back and get some watermelon.
Sounds like
That's what I do. I'm like, if I'm hot and I'm hot tempered, I will do a peppermint tea that cools the liver, and I will do watermelon. Those are my two get-goes because I'm a Vata Pitta, but in the summertime, my Pitta can get really hot. I get overheated pretty quickly. And I like ghee. So I'll take a spoonful of ghee.
Yeah, I take spoonfuls of ghee at least twice a day. So I'm doing all of that. Well, I drink chamomile tea at night, which is very good. So the watermelon is a good suggestion. I think I'll get some. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Robin?
I have two detailed questions. One, I want to understand, like when you're making the CCFT, do you need to strain it or can you just drink it? And what, like, does it have to be because you're not wanting anything to be in your digestion or,
Yeah, it
so-
needs to be strained. You can use a tea ball or a strainer. It should be strained.
Okay. And then the second thing is onions and garlic okay for cats or also not okay for them in addition to for
Not
dogs?
good for them either.
Okay, I'm house sitting, so the cats are gonna get to try mung bean soup, so I'll leave. But the other spices are all okay for them, or
Yeah.
should I give it to them before I put any spices in?
Well, the spices, there's some turmeric especially is really good for dogs and cats both.
Okay,
They're using
All
it as
right.
an anti-cancer treatment in some, natural veterinarian circles.
all right, excellent, thank you.
Robin, when you were talking about the straining, you mean specifically the fennel?
Well, for the CCFT and the ginger, do you have to strain that one also?
It doesn't have ginger, but I mean, you don't need to strain cumin and coriander because it's so powdery, but what might need straining is the fennel. But I just want to mention, you and I live in the same area. I go to Buck Spices like you do, and I get my fennel there, and they will really grind it down to a very fine level.
Oh, okay. But so then, then is it okay, Carol? Or is there a reason we're not supposed to have any of those particles of any of them in there?
Yeah, this is about breaking. This is a liquid diet, so you don't have to. You're not spending any energy whatsoever in breaking those spices down. So you want it strained and just liquid.
Okay,
Same with the ginger. It's just it's just liquid.
okay.
Let's see. Is there anything else? Did I cover everything? I think we've been pretty thorough. And my most important thing is enjoy yourself. And if it doesn't go well, you're feeling off, something's, you've got a stressor in your life. This is not about adding more stress. So use your common sense, use your intuition, and do your best. And Jane and I are available if you have questions. Thanks for co-hosting with me, Robin.
Jeremy,
Thank you very
Dan,
much.
I hope you're done because I'm getting tired, but I still want to say thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Carol and Jana.
Much.
So much.
Pleasure.
Thank
And
you, Carol. Thank you, Jana.
Yep. You guys be out. Use the chat, to communicate. Let's hear from you. I want to know how it's going.
Thank you. You are so loving and caring for everyone and give time for everyone. And so it's very important that we all feel loved and cared because that helps us to feel, the little wounded child feel good. And that's already healing before we even start the diet.
Right. So we're gonna let everybody go except anybody who wants to hear Nehemiah talk about bathroom what would you call that? Protocol? A bathroom protocol?
That's a clean name. We used to call it flashlight before. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'm stopping the recording now.
Come in and out.